Captain. And joining me, it is our Laker insider, Mike Bresnahan.
I'm here.
And the man that is just moving on up. No longer with the USA Today. He's now with NBA.com. His name is Mark Medina. And we say congrats to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Our audience loves it. Hey, I got to be serious here. I'm really excited about this role. When they talked to me about it, NBA.com, NBA TV, they said, hey, we saw your stuff on Access Sportsnet. We love it. So I got to thank you, Allie. Got to thank you, Brez. Got to thank you, Gator.
Are you serious?
I feel like we're kind of your agents right now. This is a big deal.
I was going to say, so when do we send the invoice? I'm just kidding.
Let's take a bottle of
It's right away.
No, congrats to you, really. We love having you in studio. Gator's back there. He's joining us in a minute, and he's been clapping. He's excited as well for you. So.
I'm excited, too. Should be a fun season.
Well, let's see how you do on this show. Lakers' big three looked impressive in the preseason finale versus the Kings, in case you missed it. LeBron James led the way with 30 points. Russell Westbrook finished with 18 and 5 dimes. And Anthony Davis did what he's pretty much been doing all preseason, a nice double-double, 14 and 12 rebounds. Not bad for just the second game altogether for 360. Here's LeBron and what he learned about the big three during the preseason.
I think we built our chemistry as the games went on and on and on. You know, we're starting to learn each other. We started to learn each other every quarter, every time we was on the floor. You know, so that was the biggest thing that we can build from the games that we played.
When we look back at film, you know, you think you play bad, you actually play pretty well, despite a loss or a win. And you know, every day we go on film, you know, coach shows us positive things, you know, the way we move the ball, the way we cut, the plays we're making just playing randomly. And so we're encouraged by everything that we do. We have spurts where we look really good, like we did in the first half of the first quarter. So, but, you know, the thing we can get better is obviously defense. Defensively, we can get a lot better, and, you know, new guys trying to play in a new system. And old guys trying to get it acclimated to the new guys who's trying to get acclimated to the new system. So it's a lot. But, you know, we're going to chip away at it every day.
That's how we got to play. Start the game. First two quarters gave up 35, 36. Third and fourth quarter did a better job of 21-point quarter, 24. So that's what we got to lean on, because when we get stops, it's very difficult to stop us in transition.
Is that just attention to detail?
Just learning. Everybody's learning a new defense. So we kind of got to learn each other, learn our tendencies, learn kind of what we're doing. So in the process of that, we got to make sure we just stay consistent to our rules and stick to them. And then, you know, if we need to make adjustment, we will.
Zooming out, big picture, what are you most encouraged by from these 6 games heading into the regular season next week?
Just that we got better each game. I feel like we've gotten better each preseason on obviously getting all guys healthy is most important, keeping us healthy throughout the year. But just encouraged about how, you know, each game we've gotten a little better.
Let's start with the big three, guys. We've seen them in back-to-back games now here to close out the preseason. Mark, start with you. Your early impressions.
Well, caution, it is preseason. I think we're all in agreement. Preseason results don't really matter. So that being said, I've seen a lot of things that make them the NBA's best trio, and a lot of things that are like, hey, this is a little ugly here, but it's a work in progress. But I think that that's what they expect. When I asked Lakers coach Frank Vogel earlier in the week, hey, how long is your expectation for what this process will be? He was projecting this might be the whole season. You know what? That's okay because they're talented, number one, and two, they have the right intentions. So you might see some ugly performances, but it's part of the process.
Yeah, Frank, very patient, which our friend Rob, on the other hand, when that comment came out, well, differently, but yeah.
We love, you know, kind of sticking to our friend Rob, don't we? Hi, Rob. Love you, dude. My take on the big three is you're only as good as your best part, which is obviously LeBron James, and he looked really, really good in that preseason finale. I mean, good to see him, A, logging a lot of time, and B, making the most of it. So LeBron is ready to play. Saw enough from AD to make me think he's also ready to play. You know, mid-range was a little iffy in that preseason finale. But I saw enough in the other games combined to make me think he's ready to take all the hard hits down low and the tough fouls. He is not going to be worried about, you know, anything really this season. And, of course, there's Russ, the newest Laker. I know we're going to be talking about him a lot in this show.
And we're actually going to right now. Where do you
about
think Russ's biggest impact will be? Obviously, the newest addition to the 360, if you will.
I think it's going to be the pace. I mean, look, he is a lightning bolt, and he is fast, and he can help the Lakers get a lot of easy baskets, especially in transition. So now it's about how do they play at that right pace without leading to a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes. You know what? Some of it's inevitable. You want kind of that frenetic style to throw your opponents off. But I think obviously they want to fine-tune that so it's not too much.
Speaking of that motor and just how dynamic he is, Brez, now that we've seen it a little, and obviously we need to see more of it, do you think this is leaning more towards Russ adjusting to the Lakers? And when I say that, obviously AD and LeBron have figured out a way to win together already.
Yeah.
Or is it Russ adjusting to them?
Russ has to adjust to them. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Chicken egg type of thing. I think Russ has to adjust to them because a little over a year ago, what happened for the Lakers? They won the championship in the bubble season. So I think Russ is saying the right things like he did a couple weeks ago. I'm going to defer to them. Then I think he did go out and maybe defer too much, not just to those guys, but the rest of his new teammates. I liked a lot of what I saw in that Game 6 of the preseason. Russ was Russ, period. He was a blur on the court. Good defensively, really kind of antagonizing the other team. And obviously, he can score when he wants to. So I think it's going to be a little give and take, but I think ultimately Russ can and will have to kind of assimilate with his new teammates.
Your thoughts on that, Mark?
Yeah, well, ultimately, it comes down to Russ has to adjust because his other teammates are LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and they are who they are, but they've also been here the past 2 seasons. They have their dynamic, which I think is basically perfect. They complement each other so well. So now it's on Russ to make sure that he finds his way into the puzzle, and I think in fairness to LeBron and AD, they're going to try to make things easier for him as well, so he feels most comfortable.
Do you agree with him being on the pace in terms of him fitting in?
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers need kind of a boost in the pace department. It was not a very quick team last season. Some fast break, but not like the championship year. I really feel like they need that little injection of youth and energy. I guess Russ doesn't really fill the youth part, but the energy part is an absolute. So, yeah, he's definitely going to help them get up in the pace department. Washington Wizards, #1 in pace last season. Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, two reasons why.
And you have to think, too, the more and more games that are played and a season goes on, guys are going to get used to that. They're going to get their legs underneath them.
Yeah.
I mean, just watching it is incredible when you get to see it now night in and night out.
It'll
just
take
how
a little
fast
time.
he really is.
Yeah.
Speaking of who will complement the big three, who will start alongside them when the season begins, it's been a constant conversation throughout the preseason. And over the last few games, we've seen plenty of Kent Bazemore and DeAndre Jordan in the starting lineup with LeBron, AD, and Westbrook. Both players have been very complimentary to the Lakers stars. And following Friday's practice session, Baze spoke about adapting to his new role.
I mean, yeah, you play for different teams. You know, teams put you in, you know, different spots. You know, you played a 3 for a different team. You played a 2. You're a secondary ball handler on the second unit. You know, it's just so many different places that you put in, and you know, you get scrambled a bit. So it's just, you know, figuring all that out. I mean, this is a great team. Like I see myself, you know, being a huge part of this team's success with the pieces, you know, what I bring to the game, the energy, the defense, the tray ball, the positivity, the optimism, so many things that I bring. It's just, you know, figuring it out on the floor now.
I think that our conditioning is getting a lot better. Us being able to, you know, make a lot of plays defensively and lead fast break points to be able to get easy baskets in transition. But, you know, with Russ, Bron, and AD, you know, with those guys at the helm, I feel like offensively we can create a lot of mismatches and a lot of problems. But defensively is where we're going to be able to thrive, I feel like, and be successful once we catch our rhythm.
All right, we've been talking about it for a while, guys. We're 5 days out from opening night, 4 or 5 days out.
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
From opening night. Frank Vogel says he's still uncertain as to what that starting rotation will look like. And look, injuries probably have played a little bit into that uncertainty, but I know you guys have an idea of how you feel about it.
We'll be certain, definitely.
Okay, so
you know, I have no problem being certain. I love coaches this time of year. It's kind of like they're guarding, you know, national secrets with who's going to be starting, who's going to be the sixth man. But I think what we just put on the board makes the most sense to us, at least to me. DeAndre Jordan really has kind of, I don't want to say distanced himself from Dwight, but he's shown us a little bit of a flashback to the way he used to be, getting double-doubles and blocking shots and actually clogging some passing lanes in the preseason finale. So I think he really has nailed down the starting 5 spot. I enjoyed AD's smoke screening on media day that maybe he'll be the starting 5, but I'm not going to put money on that. I also like Ken Bazemore. Does a little bit of everything. Not going to really jump off the stat sheet or anything like that, but I feel like those two are going to fill in the blanks with the other 3 on opening night.
Yeah, and I was at Lakers practice today. Frank Vogel was saying he has an idea, but he doesn't want to share it, I think, because of this competitive reasons. Yeah. But I'm with Brez. I think that this is what the starting lineup's going to be. I think while Dwight Howard has certainly had some of entertaining moments on the court, sometimes it's a little high risk, high reward. DeAndre Jordan's been more stable on the defensive end. And then Kent Bazemore, he's been a solid player. And look, Kent feels very empowered. Talking to him today at practice, he talked about how when he was in Atlanta and Golden State, you know, in between his last stint with the Lakers in 2013-14, he had all these different roles, identity crisis. Now he feels a lot more stable. And look, he was coming off a season with the Warriors where he was playing with his best friend, Steph Curry. He had a bigger offer than the Lakers, but he wanted to come here to win a championship, and he felt like he would have a bigger role here, and he's taking advantage of it.
Look, it's not just about talent. Fit also plays a role. But before we get to that 2-guard position, if you will, I want to talk to bigs for a second, because DeAndre Jordan probably looked his best there in the preseason against Sac in preseason game 6. 12 and 11, a nice double-double. But you also think about the element to which Dwight Howard has made such a strong impact with that second unit. And we're talking a lot about chemistry with 360, but chemistry in other aspects of that rotation matters. And I think DeAndre Jordan getting that starting nod with Dwight being comfortable in the backup probably makes sense.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I love Dwight's energy. He's been pumping up the crowd. Sometimes when he's getting a block or sometimes when he's getting a foul that might be debatable among the officials. And I think in that respect, he needs to give a jolt of energy because the game had just started. They can already get jolts of energy to start the game because they got Russell Westbrook and LeBron James and Anthony Davis already started. So I think it's a really effective way for Frank Vogel to kind of stagger that energy throughout the game.
Every year in every season, there's always a storyline that really just ends up in like a storyline cemetery, like a little vault that really didn't need to be told or investigated or discussed. And a couple years ago, it was, ooh, is Dwight going to be okay as a backup for the Lakers? You know, during his second tour with the team, he was fine. And in fact, that's his role. And he's really, really appreciated it. I like watching him play. You know, I covered him in 2012. Obviously, we all did a couple years ago as well. And now, here we go, round 3. He's fun. I made this comparison on air the other day. He's almost like a WWE character. He's out there just to antagonize the opponent. He's a very colorful guy, cracks me up. And by the way, he is a double-double threat if he does get enough minutes, and he loves being a reserve for this team.
Absolutely. And when we round out the rotation, you guys just talked about it from Kent Bazemore, just seemingly making a name for himself in that starting rotation. But 2 other guys we've had our eyes on all preseason, Kendrick Nunn and, of course, Malik Monk, obviously dealing with injuries. They're hopeful for opening night. Do you see him suiting up?
Yeah, I think so. You know, Monk's had a little bit longer time to recover, and I think he'll be good. They might need his 3-point shooting. If he does in the regular season what he did in the early preseason, and Nunn, you know, their best perimeter defender in my mind, he also does a little bit of everything. So, yeah, they kind of do need both these guys. I think we saw against Sacramento what happens without a ton of depth.
Yeah, and maybe even put in Wade Ellington there. Frank Vogel was saying all 3 of those guys did some work, but it remains to be seen. The bottom line is health is going to be the number one priority among starters and role players this season, but it is important for them to shift some of the load to them so that, you know, Anthony Davis and Russ and LeBron aren't carrying such a heavy load because they want them to be fresh throughout the season as well.
Do you think the 2 of them, Kendrick Nunn and Malik Monk, made enough of an impact to show that they're valuable for this rotation?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, Malik Monk's already gained a nickname, Microwave, getting up buckets. And Kendrick,
Air fryer.
Air fryer, okay.
That's
I'll take that.
Love it.
Yeah, Kendrick Nunn has been reliable, and they fill a definitive need. Add some outside shooting. That will make life easier for the Lakers' big 3.
Brez, they've shown you enough in the preseason?
Yeah. Yes. You know, there's a long answer and a short answer. We don't have 6 hours, so I'll give you the short answer, which is, yeah, they have actually. I like what Rob Pelinka did as far as like building this team around 3 people going into free agency. So many different faces. It will take a while. I think it all is going to work. Love those 2 pickups that we've been talking about. And look, 11 new faces if you include Austin Reeves, you know, the recent signee from the 2-way to the, hey, welcome to the team type of thing. That's a lot of new people. they're lucky. The first 10 games are relatively easy.
We're going to get into that coming up in the show. But for now, the Hall of Famer, Big Game James, gives his top takeaways from the preseason and looks.
That's what I got from the first half. Turnover 7 on me. But good thing they don't count. So, turn that over 15 times. Man, you do nothing about it.
There was a pump fake 3 where the defender got in there and kind of adjusted I mean, it's 3 free throws the last 3 seasons. It's not going to be this year. How big of an adjustment is that going to be with such a weapon for so many people?
Not for me. Ain't too many people flying at me, so I'll be all right.
Got one today.
Oh, no, surprise. I never had one good preseason, me personally, so I never really worry about it.
So what's your personal expectation of how long the process will take?
I know that's the question everybody keep asking. Like, nobody has a real answer for that. We just gonna play just like every other team, and then we're gonna figure it out. You know, we don't need to figure it out. October 18, 19, whatever the first game is.
Does an 0-6 preseason sit with you any certain way, or is it just not matter?
Honestly, I can't tell you. I've been in the league 13 years. I don't know my preseason record for any of those years, so that should answer your question. So, no, it doesn't matter.
If there's anything we learned about the preseason, it's that Russell Westbrook is a walking soundbite, and I am here for all of it. But I want to know what you guys learned. Mark, I'm going to start with you. Your takeaways from the preseason, number 1.
Well, to your point, beyond the Russ' amazing sound bites and his fashion, of course, health, it's really important. I mean, obviously, the Lakers' identity is all about the stars, but losing Talen Horton-Tucker and Trevor Ariza for a significant amount of time, that's tough, and hopefully they can get back sooner rather than later. Second is, hey, the Big Three chemistry is a work in progress. There's signs of promise, but there's also signs that there's a lot of work to be done.
So you've got chemistry between the Big Three. Brez, your first takeaway from the preseason?
Yeah, definitely I want to start with LeBron. And I know we already talked about him briefly, but I was just really impressed by what he did in the preseason finale. He played 29 minutes or so, had his 30 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He really was starting to imprint himself on this Laker team. A lot of the guys preseason just kind of coast through it, do whatever you want. Not LeBron James. He is definitely a guy who is all in all the time, and especially in that Game 6 of the preseason. I love this, the going downhill. It is already part of his game. Added some nice threes. Poor what's his name there really doesn't have much of a chance to stop him. And anyone who tries to take a charge on LeBron, it's not going to end well, guys. I think we saw it in a couple of these preseason games. So he's going to be 37 in a couple months, and I, for one, am very impressed by what he's done so far.
Mark, I'm going to make you circle back. I know we were all really excited after that fill it up game, so you were really excited to give me both of your takeaways.
Yes.
But I want to dive even more so into your injury take, just from a standpoint of 1 month for THT, 2 months at least for Ariza. Will that have a big impact in terms of just the overall health that you are speaking of?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is the Lakers' success is going to be about LeBron James, AD, and then Russ. But look, we're talking about starting lineup combinations. I thought Trevor Ariza was going to be in the starting lineup, and obviously that's not the case now. I thought Wayne Ellington was probably going to be behind him because of his experience, a little bit more consistency with his outside shot than Kent Bazemore. So, look, it's not detrimental, but, when you're talking about trying to find more depth so that the pressure isn't just on the stars, those things can accumulate through the course of a season.
It's certainly still preseason for me. I will lead you better next time. Brez, your second point. Take away.
Yeah, anytime you go winless in the preseason, it can't all be candy corns and chocolate-covered M&M peanuts. What you have to have is definitely some type of thing where you go, wait a sec, what is wrong here? And for me, it was the defense, okay? Part of it is a little misleading. The Lakers did allow almost 120 points a game. That's a lot, even in the preseason. Some of it was too many turnovers. When you cough up the ball 20-plus times in all these games, the other team is going to have easy shots the other way, easy points. So the defense is a little inflated, but I'm a little worried about the perimeter D. Maybe part of it is Kendrick Nunn didn't play the last couple games. Want to see him get back out there. A lot of holes to fill, no doubt, with no KCP, no Schroeder, no Caruso. So definitely I want to see a little bit more perimeter defense. Not worried about the guys down low, by the way. Love DeAndre, love Dwight. And, of course, AD, one of the top defenders down low.
And obviously, Mark, having that security when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, you imagine allows for your perimeter guys to be more aggressive.
100%. Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis were talking about this, I think, at the beginning of training camp, that as much as they want to be solid on perimeter defense, great points by Brez, they have an insurance blanket that they can take risks. They can not feel too worried if their man is beat because they got really good defenders in Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan and Anthony Davis when he's at the 5 or the 4. And I think with either of those guys, they bring a different flavor. DeAndre's solid. Dwight can be, spectacular. Sometimes he gets a few fouls, but I think even through those fouls, he's creating a lot of energy that feeds off of other guys. And then Anthony Davis, he's obviously one of the best defenders in the league. So they have a lot of defensive reinforcements, even with the lack of wing depth.
Speaking of Anthony Davis, we also learned that AD is looking forward to a big bounce-back season after having his season cut short with injuries last year. And the Brow proved it with his play in the preseason. You see the numbers, you see the minutes. We've watched the productivity, if you will. It's time to get the regular season going.
Yeah, let's do it.
But for more, let's check in with Chris McGee in the Hall of Famer. Big game, James Worthy.
Thank you, Allie. Big game, James. The preseason is finally over. As a player, when you know it's leading up to game number 1 and it all counts, what are those few days like?
Well, the preseason's over, and you get to go out there and get you some new meat now. You're not practicing against each other. You're not playing the same teams preseason, multiple times, and it counts. So when that happens, it's game on.
Yeah.
And I think this team, they're, want to win a championship. It's anticipation. You want to get started. You want to get going. And so, yeah, that's what they're thinking about right now. Spending these next few days trying to hone their skills and get more connected on both ends of the court so that they can have a really fresh start. They still have some things to work on, but they want to be able to have the basics intact. Defense, let the defense lead to offense. The big 3 will be who they are. Unfortunately, they got to have some injuries, with Tucker and Monk, but I think the role players are going to be the key factors to fitting in and making sure that the starters have that support system that they need.
Yeah, I think you said the key word to defense. When you think of championship teams where this Laker team wants to be, it's going to start on the defensive end. That's always been their calling card. We just didn't get to see it really in the preseason. They didn't defend that well. They gave up a lot of points, but you also never got to see regular rotations and schemes.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be, the excitement for me really that first week or two is seeing what this team looks like when it counts, when everyone's effort levels and they're scheming and trying to win games.
And Coach Vogel's going to put a lot of emphasis on that.
Sure.
Remind the guys of, what wins championships, rebounding, defense, getting those things taken care of. So with the defenders they have, particularly the rim protectors, DeAndre Jordan, Dwight Howard, he's coming after everything. AD, great interior defender. That's going to make their perimeter players, Bazemore, Nunn, guys like that will be able to put pressure on the perimeter. So, yeah, I think their defense will be pretty good when they get those 7 to 8 guys that are going to be playing together a lot, and when they get used to each other's tendencies and they communicate how they communicate defensively, I think there'll be a really good defensive team because they have the components of a really good defensive team.
Are you with me in thinking that the starting unit will be with Baze and DJ? It just seems to be going that way because there's been some injuries and we kind of last week of the preseason.
There was talk of Nunn because Nunn is really strong.
Arisa, they all
upper body that he would start, but I think Bazemore has proven not only this preseason, but with Golden State and the first time he's with the Lakers, he didn't have that maturity as he wanted yet, but I think he's totally capable of being that starter. And if I had to bet right now with the injuries that they've, I would bet he'd probably start.
You know what it's going to come down to, though? Everyone always wants to talk about the closing unit. It's not really who starts the game.
Yeah.
We know there will be a big 3, and when this team is healthy, it's going to be really interesting, like we saw over the last couple of years, who the guys are that are closing that game. Remember, sometimes Caruso did for the Lakers in the past. What guys are going to emerge? Will it be a Carmelo because they need buckets? Will it be a defender? Will it be none? So I think for me, James, that's always a part that I look forward to because we really don't know. With all new faces, you just don't know.
And I don't think they know yet. I don't think the coaching staff have quite figured out those permanent spots, but we know that there are going to be nights where the big three is going to -1, and Carmelo is going to be one of those guys. Rob always says the big four, because Carmelo has that experience. He's a prolific scorer, and he's hungry for a championship. So I think a few more weeks, they're going to play against some different defensive teams, some different opponents, and they'll have some different scenarios that the coaching staff will be working with. In a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I think they'll have a good rotation. They'll be knowing each other's tendencies. They'll be on a string, and we'll start to see, and they'll get some players back, Monk, Tucker, and then we'll start to see just how powerful they can be.
Big M. James, we appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Peter is gone. It's time to be back on track.
I'm back in.
What?
Peter, back in. Nice. Back in. Hey, partner. Welcome back in.
Oh,
trying to
it's
drive
the
away
three of
from
you.
We're on the same team again.
Halloween, the Three Stooges.
Yeah,
all right, here we go.
Room, I got called back in.
You're a gamer, Gator.
Here we go then. Brez or Geeter up first? Brez is up first, per usual. What the numbers is, the Lakers still favorites to win the West.
10.
Good answer.
I really don't care about this 0-6 preseason mark. I've seen bad preseasons before. And let's not forget, a little over a year ago, they won it all. And they added Russell Westbrook. It's a 10. It's a 10.
Mark, what the numbers is?
It's a 10. There is a rule in the NBA. It's called you never bet against LeBron James. 10 all the way.
10.
Geeter.
10 all the way. They have, 7 Hall of Famers? 10, it's not. I don't care about 0-6. 0-6 means nothing to me. They barely even tried. They're going to be 9-1 after the first 10 games, and no one's going to talk about those preseason games. You know who was 0-6 last year? Combined Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. They both went to the finals.
Good knowledge.
Moving on. Number 2. He just complimented himself for everyone at home, in case you didn't know that. Brez, Kent Bazemore will be in the starting 5 on opening night.
I feel pretty good about this, too. I'm not going to go a 10, because even Frank Vogel's playing a little coy with us. I'm going to go a 9.
Good answer. Good answer.
A 9. Guys, by the way, the last few months I've been saying, Wayne Ellington. No, he's just not going to be in the starting lineup. Love the guy, can shoot threes, but Baze does a little bit more defensively.
He's going with the 9. Mark?
I'm going with the 10. I think Frank Vogel has made up his mind, but he just doesn't want to tell us because he doesn't want Warriors coach Steve Kerr to know what he's doing on opening night. There's no more games to be played. He's already made his decision. Kent Bazemore has done a lot of good things on offense and defense. He's earned that spot.
Geeter, be your own person.
I can't. I got to go 10 because Frank Vogel already gave us a tease. Sacramento, that will be the starting lineup, I believe, on opening night. And look at the process of elimination. Brez just said, Ellington's coming off the hamstring. Monk and Nunn just haven't had enough time with this team. Ariza's out for a couple months. THT is out for 4 weeks until he gets reevaluated. There is no question Kent Bazemore will be starting on opening night.
They're going big against the Warriors.
Good answer,
wow,
guys.
good answer. All right.
Good job, team.
Number 3, Brez. Austin Reeves is in line for regular rotation minutes.
I'm going to go a 4 on this. I like what he's done.
Gutsy answer.
I like what he's done. Undrafted, ignored, but here he is. Maybe carving out a little time with the Lakers. The problem for him is a lot of guys ahead of him, a lot of experience, a lot of guys who have been in playoffs before in important games for important franchises. Love the kid. It will be his time. Not quite yet, though.
Mark, what the numbers is?
I'm going with a 6. Look, he's going to get rotation minutes now because there are some injuries. But as far as regular rotation minutes throughout the season, consistently, no, I think that is a stretch. But as everyone here knows, Frank Vogel, the last few seasons, he's always been experimenting with lineups throughout the season, making adjustments. So he'll get some minutes, just not every game consistently.
Okay.
Geeter, don't you dare sit on that fence.
Guys, this isn't what I want, but Mark hit on the proper word, regular. I don't think so. I'm going to have to go slide this all the way down to like a 2-3, right around there, because I do think he will be a part of the rotation at some point because of injuries. I think he may even work to that. But to start things off, Austin Reeves is going to have to wait.
Is this the first time in the history of what the numbers is that we go back and forth between numbers?
Leave it 2-3 combo. We call that a 2.5 in the business.
All right, this is why I wanted Geeter here for this. But this season, what the numbers is.
I'm going to go with a 4 on this. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like there's a good momentum for that to happen. God, I'm really tempted. I'd like to do the 3-4 thing, but I'm not going to. Geet, you already kind of patented that. I'm going to go with a 4. On
4?
This. Yeah.
Mark.
That's a really good one.
I'm going with a 6. He has not done the right